So we have discussed about academic writing and non-academic writing in the last few videos, isn't it? So if a question arises, what is academic writing? We can say it as academic writing is the formal writing style used in colleges and universities. It is the formal writing style which is used in colleges and universities. It's what students are expected to produce for classes and what professors and academic researchers use to write scholarly materials. So for writing scholarly materials, we use the pattern of academic writing, and high schools sometimes require academic writing style in certain classes. Okay. Now, writing for higher education. A simple academic writing definition is hard to come by because there are many types and forms of academic writing produced for a variety of reasons, which means that uh, I have said there are different purposes or reasons to write in the format of academic writing. So it may be project, it may be assignments, it may be research reports, thesis, like that. Likewise, it varies. The reasons to practice academic writing. So a simple academic writing definition is hard to come by because there are many types and forms of academic writing produced for a variety of reasons. Okay. Now, different types of academic writing include So the types of academic writing are abstract, annotated bibliography, academic journal article, book report, conference paper, dissertation, essay, explication, literary criticism, research paper, research proposal, textbook, thesis. While this is not an exhaustive list of every possible form academic writing can take, it does contain the most common types. So these are the most common types of academic writing formats we use. Okay. That's how the academic writing genres are there. Now, key characteristics of academic writing. What are the key characteristics of academic writing? While specific requirements may be based on the particular form of academic writing or the class of publication for which a work is produced, some characteristics are common to all academic writing. So, the key characteristics of academic writing depends on the work what we are doing. If it varies for uh, each purposes. Okay, if it is dissertation, that might not be the procedure for essay, isn't it? So it varies, and so we practice a different way to produce an academic writing. Okay, while specific requirements may vary based on the particular form of academic writing or the class or publication for which a work is produced. Some characteristics are common to all academic writing. Okay, so first we are going to discuss on formal tone. Formal tone. A formal tone is always used in academic writing. It is not light-hearted or conversational in tone. Slang and cliches do not belong in this type of writing. Already we have discussed that. We use formal tone in academic writing. So that's what it is repeating here. Formal tone is used in academic writing. It is not light-hearted or conversational in tone. Slang and cliches do not belong in this type of writing. Next, it is precise language. In keeping with the formal tone, it is important to choose precise language that very clearly conveys the author's meaning. So the language should be precise because the meaning of what the author intends should be conveyed very clearly. That is why we use precise language. Next, point of view. Academic writing is usually written in third person point of view. It's not from first person point of view or second person point of view. It is written usually from the third person point of view because its focus is to educate on the facts rather than to support an opinion or give advice. So if it is an advice, we could say it from first person point of view, isn't it? But it is not an advice or something to support someone. It's It's usually the basic facts, isn't it? We include in academic writing. So we usually prefer, we usually write in third person point of view. Next, research focus. Because most academic writing involves reporting research results, it tends to focus on the specific research questions being studied. So because research focus is the next point, that is because most academic writing involves reporting research results, it tends to focus on the specific research questions being studied. So if it is particularly based on research purposes, then we mainly focus only on research purpose, nothing in particular, the question which we arise from that particular research. That is what we mainly focuses on, isn't it? Next, organization. Academic writing should be organized logically in a linear, matter-of-fact fashion. Use headings to delineate each major section. Okay, so academic writing should be organized. That means it should be organized. Even if we have a whole subject, the subject may include different subparts, and that subparts should be organized under under each specific titles. It should not be clumsy, or it should not be overcrowded. It should be organized. It should be in an organized manner, logically in a linear, matter-of-fact fashion. Okay, and also use headings to delineate each major section. That's what I have said. We have to give subheadings, subtitles for each sections, each subsections, such as. Now, source citations. Most academic writing includes at least some secondary research sources. Of course, nothing is completely from on our research basis. Sometimes we have to depend on other sources, so we have to include source citation. So most academic writing includes at least some second research sources. Be sure to properly cite all sources and include a bibliography even. So certainly we should include a bibliography even. Then of course, individual assignments may sometimes have different requirements. Always review submission guidelines carefully to verify you are following the proper format and style. Okay, that is the major characteristics we have to check while we write while we write or while we use the academic writing format. Okay, now coming to academic writing structure. Papers written in an academic style have at least three distinct sections: the introduction, body, and conclusion. Whenever we write in an format of academic writing, it should be in it should have three distinct sections. The introduction should be there, the body should be there, then the conclusion. Introduction. In the introduction, you must grab the reader's attention. In the introduction, what we should do means you must grab the reader's attention and identify the thesis of the paper. So what you're going to say in the coming paragraphs, you should have a slight explanation to all those in the introduction part. Depending on the type of paper you are writing, there are several appropriate hook approaches to consider for the introduction. Consider beginning your introduction with one of the following options: statement of the research question, declaration of the work's primary focus, relevant quote from a famous work or person, some interesting facts or statistics, operational definition of important terms related to the work, example introduction for an academic paper. The purpose of this paper is to explore the thesis discussed in the Metamorphosis. The Metamorphosis is the book written by Kafka in 1915. An example of surrealistic literature. This book is much more than a classic story about a man who transitions into an insect. The primary theme of this work relates to the dehumanization of man in a capitalist society. This paper will provide specific examples from the text that relate to the notion that in a capitalist system, the value of an individual is inextricably linked to the person's ability to bring in an income. Okay. Now, body. What will we write in a body? I have said we have three subdivisions. First introduction, then body, then conclusion. We have discussed about the introduction. Now we are coming to the body part. This is the main part of the work. The paragraphs must be clearly written and arranged in a logical order. For example, it could be arranged chronologically or in order of importance. So the paragraphs must be clearly written and arranged in a logical order. It should have a logic. Whatever we write, it should have a logic. Only then it will be conveyed to the readers, isn't it? For example, it could be arranged chronologically or in order of importance. You can arrange in the basis of in the number basis, or in the order of importance. You can arrange the matter. That is the body. The first sentence in each paragraph should link to the preceding paragraph, so the whole section flows smoothly. That is, when we come after the first paragraph, when we come to the next paragraph, the first sentence of the second, that is the here to write paragraph, should have a link to the previous one. Okay, so that is what's said here. The first sentence in each paragraph should link to the preceding paragraph, so the whole section flows smoothly. Within each paragraph, the sentences need to flow and refer back to the topic. Achieve cohesion by repeating important words. Achieve cohesion by repeating important words. So in the coming lectures, we will learn what is meant by cohesion. Okay, then achieve cohesion by repeating important words. Using synonyms for the main subject. And using transitional words like however, such as therefore, and for example. Example, excerpt from the body of an academic paper. While the terms diversity and inclusion are sometimes used interchangeably, they do not have the same meaning. Diversity is about the state of being different, while inclusion addresses the extent to which people are truly included. Diversity and inclusion are certainly closely associated with one another, but they are different constructs that have different implications in the workplace. Whether the staff of a company in the United States is diverse is related to whether or not the employer complies with equal employment opportunity laws and regulations. If the diversity that exists in the larger population relative to the types of jobs for which a company hires is not represented in the workplace, that may be an indicator of discriminatory hiring practices. Companies with an appropriately diverse employee population are likely complying with EEO requirements, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are inclusive. In determining if a workplace is inclusive, it's important to consider whether all of the organization's employees are truly valued, welcomed, and respected for what they really are. Not in spite of their differences, but because of who they are, differences and all. A company that has a diverse employee population yet expects workers to live part of their true selves at home when they come to work is one that does not have an inclusive work environment. So the conclusion can be, the purpose of the conclusion is to clearly bring the paper to a close for readers. So the above one is an example for the body of academic writing material. Okay, so that is the body, and what will we include in conclusion means, the purpose of the conclusion is to clearly bring the paper to a close for readers. It should reiterate the thesis and summarize the main points of findings. If the paper is summarizing the results of a research study, it is generally best to suggest an area for further research or study based on the conclusions presented. So the conclusion should be a proper close, a neat close actually for the readers. It should summarize the whole thing neatly, and also if there are any main points or findings, that should be included in the conclusion. There is an example here. With regards to the question of whether or not fear appeals are effective in advertising focused on preventing the results of the study seem to indicate that such messages may actually have no impact on behavior. The results indicate that while viewers do find such messages to be frightening, they tend to tune out the messages rather than attending to them. These findings suggest that such messages may create cognitive dissonance that keeps them from being effective. More studies needed to explore this possibility. So, in order to succeed in this academic writing, whether you are writing a research paper, thesis, or a paper for a conference, these tips can help you approach your academic writing assignments and projects from the proper perspective. Remember to write with an authoritative tone and ensure that your work flows coherently. That way, reader of your paper will be able to follow your reasoning and understand the conclusion and its implications. Now that you know what academic writing is, focus on expanding your academic writing skills further. So the main points I would like to summarize here is, what do you mean by academic writing? I have said, okay, the academic writing, then the types of academic writing include abstract, annotated, bibliography, academic journal write article, book report, conference paper, dissertation, essay, explication, literary criticism, research paper, research proposal, textbook, thesis, all those. Then key characteristics of academic writing, that is, you should use a formal tone. Then the point of view, yeah, that is third person point of view, isn't it? You should write in third person point of view. Then the language should be precise. Then it should mainly research focused, okay. And then it should be organized. Then you should source the citations, all such things we should follow. And then the structure includes an introduction, then a body, then conclusion. That is what's said in the coming paragraphs. And also the examples are given for introduction, body, and conclusion. So these are the things while basically we have to follow while we write academic writing. And I would like to explain some of the key terms related to academic writing. The first term I would like to share with you is blind peer reviewing. Blind peer reviewing. Blind peer reviewing. Okay, that's the first term I would like to discuss with you. The blind peer reviewing means when a paper submitted by a scholar for publication. So a paper is submitted by a scholar for publication to a journal and is sent to other scholars or reviewers by the editor of the journal without the names and other details of the writer. The reviewers read the paper and determine if the paper is worth publishing. So a paper is submitted by a particular person, a particular scholar, for publication to a journal. Okay, a paper is submitted by a scholar for publication to a particular journal, and the editor of the journal, without name or any details of the writer, is given to other scholars or other reviewers. Okay, and the reviewers read the paper and determine if the paper is worth publishing, and they would decide if the paper is worth publishing, but there is no any details of the writer in that paper, and the identity of the reviewers is never disclosed to the author of the paper. So either the reviewers doesn't know the writer, and the writer doesn't know who were the reviewers. Okay, so that is what meant by blind peer reviewing. Blind peer reviewing. Okay, next I would like to say the implications of using others material as one's own. What are the implications of using others materials as one's own? So we call it as plagiarism. Okay, plagiarism is an act of stealing others' material as one's own. It is an unethical act, a serious offense, and is treated as a breach of academic integrity. So plagiarism is an act of stealing others' material as one's own, and it is an unethical act. It is an unethical act. Uh, a serious offense also, and is treated as a breach of academic integrity. Breach of academic integrity. Now, the seriousness of plagiarism, and I would like to discuss with you the seriousness of plagiarism and the ways to avoid it. Okay, plagiarism is an act of stealing others' material as one's own. Okay, it is an unethical act, a serious offense, and is treated as a breach of academic integrity. I have said already. The easiest way to avoid plagiarism is to distinguish your ideas from the ideas of others in your paper. That is, distinguish your ideas from the ideas of others in your paper. That is, every idea borrowed from others need to be acknowledged in the text of your paper by separating them using quotation marks and providing the details of the sources. So, plagiarism is an unethical act. I have said already. So we should avoid such practices. Okay, and the method to avoid such practices is that we should you should distinguish your ideas from the ideas of others in your paper. You should distinguish what you have to say and what others have said in your paper clearly. And how to distinguish what others have said means the borrowed items from that means the others' opinions which you have borrowed should be acknowledged in the text of your paper by separating them using quotation marks. You should use quotation marks to separate them, and you should acknowledge them and providing the details of the sources. This is how you should avoid the practice of plagiarism. So if you have to take the contents, or if you have to take the opinions of others, you should cite the resource, cite the source of it, or you should put it in a quotation mark, and also you should acknowledge. So thus you can avoid the practice of this plagiarism. Maybe unknowingly we may do such things, but you should be aware of these things. Next, the term is honor code. Honor code. The term is honor code. That means a writer of an academic paper is expected to adhere to certain basic ethics, and they have to conduct themselves in a responsible manner. Some universities make it mandatory for all students to sign an agreement called honor code at the time of enrolling for academic programs. Honor code is like a pledge taken by students to the effect that they will uphold academic integrity and ethical behavior and will not engage in any kind of cheating, stealing, or misrepresentation. So, honor code in basically in universities which are abroad, they practice this. Okay, writer of an academic paper is expected to adhere to certain basic ethics, and they have to conduct themselves in a responsible manner. So some universities, what they do means, so they make it mandatory for all the students to sign an agreement, and this agreement is called the honor code. Okay, that is at the time of enrolling for academic programs, they have to sign this agreement, and it is like a pledge. What honor code is like a pledge that which is taken by the students to the effect that they will uphold, that means they will do all their academic activities with academic integrity and ethical behavior, and they will not engage in any kind of cheating, stealing, and misrepresentation. So what that is what meant by honor code. So this is what I had here to discuss with you in this section. We'll discuss the other topics in the next session. Thank you.